Good evening, everybody. Matrix here, and here's my watch list for February 20th. Okay, so let's bring in the futures real quick. We are opening up pretty flat this evening as it's testing the close of yesterday. I think tomorrow it's going to be choppy because we've had three nice green days on the SPY, the overall market already, and we are nearing the 280 mark on the SPY. However, I think the market itself is a little bit ahead of itself, and it does need a slight little pullback. So I'm gonna watch for a test as it dips out tomorrow for a test around this 2776 area, which correlates to about the 277.5 mark on the SPY. So let's bring in the SPY real quick. Here we have the SPY, a little bit overextended nonetheless, but definitely looking like they want this 280 mark. So it's really hard to say. It's definitely really hard to say. I mean, we have key support here looking on the intraday at the 277.40s, 277.50s. We are opening a little bit flat and slightly up actually. Let's take a look real quick back here on the futures. 277.6. Okay. 277.6. So we're literally flat from where it was. So slightly down gap from after hours, but I do think it wants to test and see what happens when it gets back up here. As you can see, we have made a lot of resistance at this area, the 278 mark. So it's going to take a few days for it to get up and over. Tomorrow, I'm anticipating a chop day, basically kind of like a consolidation day right between this sideways area here. So a bounce up and down from here. So as far as market leading stocks go, I'm not too fond of them. And besides, I have found quite a few plays or quite a few tickers in play this evening for my watch list. So let's get into it real quick. SQ, let's start with that. I really like SQ on the daily chart. You can see that it's about to break out. It broke out today, but it lost a little bit of it. It tried to test the 77 key psychological whole number and prior multi-day highs, right? And it failed from there around lunchtime. However, it is lunchtime, and probably because we couldn't get enough volume and the buyers to come back in. So tomorrow, I think I want to see a continuation, a dip to hold, support area of 76 to 76.30. So let's mark that off. This is 76.30, and this is 76. Okay, so coincidentally, the 200 SMA on the 5-minute chart right here around this area. I'm going to look for a dip because after hours is selling off just a tad little bit here. Look for a dip to hold. We also have a nice psychological area of 76.50. It's holding 10 cents above it right now. So for it to snap under it in the pre-market, it's definitely possible. I don't think this holds enough water as of yet, but it is an interim support level. As you can see throughout the day, lunchtime, midday, it tried to bounce off here, right? So tomorrow, I mean, we might get off here on the gap up pre-market of it. This whole pre-market, it might just rip out the gates. Okay, so what I want to see is 77 test again and give it up to the wick 77.10 for a double top. And if it breaks out and starts holding 77, let's mark this off on the daily chart here. We could see a short squeeze up to an automatically magnet to 78, which is a key psychological whole number as well to this area. And from there, if 78 breaks out, then all hell breaks loose and we are going to the $80 area right here. Okay, so looking at this chart overall, I mean, uh, I think short sellers are still in here. Let's check the short interest real quick here. But yeah, SQ. Okay, so the short interest today is around 39.45%. With it averaging anywhere, I'm looking for the past few days, it's averaging from 37 to 40. Okay, so the short interest is still there. I'm pretty sure people shorted here at the double top and lower high here around the 77 today, and it doesn't look like they have covered yet, right? So if this 76.50 holds, or if this support area holds tomorrow, I think these shorts will cover. Also, if it comes down pre-market, if it gaps down, I also think at the open the shorts will cover to take profits, right? If it holds the 76.50, that means their shorts are not working, and it's proving strong support. So if they were smart, they would cover and causing this to squeeze a little bit. However, if it works out for them, they will cover as well to take profits at around the 76 area, which is a key support area. And from there, I'm looking for a bounce and a squeeze back up to the 77. That's SQ. OSTK is next. This stock shot up parabolic today. I'll be watching the highs over here at the 22.75 to 23 area to retest and a double top from there. It's to me, this is like a breakout, right? On the $20 level, it held 20 key support, and then afternoon it held the 22 as well. Now 22 is very key actually, so let's mark that off, zoom out, and you'll understand. OSTK is a very overly beaten down stock, okay, and there are a lot of short sellers piled in here. This 22 mark, if I zoom back in, it's actually the highs of this green candle with massive volume here. See the volume on November 23rd. Okay, so that's why it held. Tomorrow we'll have to see what it does at the open in and around this 22 area. I think this stock is a little bit overextended. I like it to come down, kind of like open sideways and just flush, and at least retest 21, maybe bring it down to 2050. The stock has an average true range of $1.64, so to bring it down to 2050 does make sense to me. Also, looking at the daily chart, I mean, if I'm looking at the massive green day here with similar volume, higher relative volume on this day on January 18th, the next day it opened down and then ripped and then failed at a key psychological area, right? So the next key psychological area, I think, is the 23 is a key watch here. No. 25 for sure, but that's a little far away. 2380s. Yeah, the 2314s. Okay, if it gaps down a little bit, rip out of gates, watch for the 2314 as well as resistance, and see if it rejects from there. If it breaks out above 23, then these shorts who piled in will get squeezed. Like, this is an overall bearish chart, and there are a lot of short sellers in the stock. So they might squeeze out if it breaks out over 23, right? And we could see an automatically squeeze up to 25 at least. So OSTK. ROKU, I played this not as well as I like, but I did manage to capture a nice up move here today. ROKU ran huge in the morning and then faded off in the afternoon. On the daily chart, it is a seller's candle, but it's a bullish candle as well. Overextended. I am going to be watching 55 and 55.25 as a key resistance area. I think the stock is a little bit ahead of itself, and it does need to pull back. They are having earnings after hours of February 21st. So, I mean, people might start selling and bring it back down. near the $50 mark here when before earning comes. So I'll be watching this as a key resistance area. It's a little bit overextended in my opinion. The average true range is 2.5, so there is $2.50 to gain here if you can manage to trade this well. This is going to be on one of my main watches. I will also be watching support area at 53 to 53.25. So from here and here, notice that 53 on the 5-minute chart is a 200 SMA as well, and the prior few days it has respected this 200 SMA. Okay, so even the 5 days from here on out, it respected it. So I am expecting a dip out of the gates to test this support area. Okay, and from there, looking for a bounce. If it does, then long it back up, targeting 54 first. Well, 54.25 first. Okay, so this is prior key support this morning. Okay, as you can see, a lot of support area here, which snaps, now becomes resistance. So target this area, 54.25, and then leave a little bit on. If it breaks out, it'll go to 55 automatic. If not, then it'll just come right back down. But it's a little bit ahead of itself, and I like to see a double top. It comes back up and double top again, like on a multi-day double top, and then fail from the 55. So that's what I'll be watching for. Also note some levels below. We have 52.5, 52, 51.5, and 50. So every 50 cents here on these levels, you need to mark off if you are short, and look for bounces from there as well. FSLR. FSLR, the short interest is very heavy in this ticker. The average true range is 1.58. Looking overall on this daily chart pattern, it's looking pretty bullish. I am looking for dip and rip tomorrow, continuation upside. The stock broke out of its 200 SMA, and it is on a breakout, keeping a lot of its gains. I do want to mention watch 52.5 as a key resistance area though. So if I were to put in on the daily chart 52.5 right here, zoom out a little bit, it's basically this area right about here. So you see a lot of prior support. Let me zoom in from last year, from June, July, August. The stock kept bouncing off this 52.5 and playing around with it. So we are coming into that resistance level. It's pretty close. It's about 30 cents away. So watch for that topping action. If it breaks out and starts holding above 52.50, then it's a long, in my opinion. And the next level of resistance is 53.75 as well as 55. So basically right here, we have some nice targets on the long side. Okay. But how do you play a dip and rip? You need to find support. So support level, I'll be looking for 51.5 and 51 right here. So 51.5 is where it broke out today after lunch, and then 51 as well. Okay. Excuse me. This 51.75 areas, I mean, it did test and hold a little bit afternoon, but on really faded volume. So we'll have to see. Currently, the stock is sitting at 52.24, right? So we'll have to watch the pre-market and see if this 51.75 holds water. Let's mark off some key support here. See, as you can see, the 51.50s play really well on the daily chart as well, the very near term. And the high of this wick is at 51.63. Okay, so zooming in some more, look for a dip to hold and then rip back up. That's what I'll be watching for FSLR. PDD is a recent IPO. PDD is named the third largest e-commerce in China, and It's a recent IPO from last year in August. Okay, so the stock is looking pretty bullish on today. It's a little bit overextended though. The thing I like about IPO is because of the lack of EMAs and SMAs here, it doesn't have enough data yet. I don't think. Yeah, it doesn't even have the 200-day moving average yet. IPO stocks tend to respect the whole and half dollars very, very well. As you can see, it held 29 key support today. So I'll be looking for that to hold once again tomorrow. And then we have key resistance at the key psychological hold number of 30, which is also a gap fill in my opinion. So if it looks like it wants to fill the gap, I'll be looking for a rejection signal from there. Zooming back a little bit, I mean, look at this massive green candle, right? That's where it topped out and failed. And if we mark off a little bit to the highs of this wick, it could go up to $30.50. So whole dollar, half dollar, watch for the gap fill. I wouldn't go as high as the 30.50. Like the near term is 30.35, right? So anywhere from here, this is key resistance zone. So I'll be watching for a reject from there. The stock has an average true range of $1.50. Okay, so from 29 to 30.50 is $1.50. So from there, it'll be very overextended. I will anticipate the sellers to take some profits, or the buyers to take some profits. Okay, that's PDD. And finally, GOOS. A big miss today. This stock is still in play, even though the daily volume has faded to about 4.7 million. But we did have a big day. Okay. For GOOS, I want to pull up the Fibonacci's real quick here, from the earnings to the swing low. Okay. And I want to note these levels here. The 50% mark is right at 54.75 area. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit and mark that off for you. You'll see it's actually a key resistance level. Basically from when they had earnings and they sold off, right? It held a little bit and snapped and went downhill from there. Also, I'll be looking for a little bit more continuation to the upside. The next level of resistance is also at around the 56 mark. So right about there. Zoom back in. Okay, so it does have a few bit more ways to go. It's in at 54 right now. So tomorrow it might just open flat and dump, right? For support, I'll be watching 53 and 53 and a half, because that's where it broke out today and it kind of held. So watching these two levels. I mean, if it dips out the gates, it's actually sitting at 53, 58 right now, but if it dips out the gates, I'll be looking for this little peak here to hold, right? This is prior resistance, now becomes support, as well as this when they had earnings and the stock held a little bit. This is where it bounced from, right? And as well as that right there. So prior resistance now becomes support. I'll be looking for these areas to hold and buy into it if it shows me a sign of buying or signal of buying. We could say the support is at low as 52 and a half, but that's a far ways to go, man. Right? That's a far ways to go. This is a interim support. I do like the 53 more because it's a nice psychological whole number. And this is where it ripped from. So that's my watch list this evening. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it's a little late. I apologize for that. Every Tuesday night I have Dart League. So it is what it is. I'll see you guys out bright and early tomorrow morning. Make sure you hit the like button and the thumbs up, right? And share. And let me know what you think about my watch list in the comment section below. All right. Have a great evening. See you guys out bright and early tomorrow. Ciao.